All right, hi. Welcome to our station on stem and leaf plots. Now, in your container, you're going to have a bunch of blank documents. The first one's going to look like this and say data chart. On the top, I give you a quick explanation of what a stem and leaf plot is. Now, if you follow along with me, we're going to see that a stem and leaf plot displays a collection of numbers in which the digits in certain place values are designated as stems and the digits in the lower place values are designated as the leaves. Don't worry if that sounds confusing right now, I will explain to you momentarily. Next, the leaves are placed side by side next to the stems in order from least to greatest, very important fact that we need to have. Finally, the arrangement of numbers shows the shape and distribution of the data set. So let's go ahead and begin with what you're going to be doing in this lab. In your container, you're going to have two dice, a green one and a blue one. What you're going to do is you're going to roll both dice and record the values here on your chart. So in this first roll, I have a 6, and on the other dice, I got a 6 also. So on my blue die, I have a 6. On my green die, I have a 6. And the product of 6 times 6 is 36. You and your partner are going to quickly repeat the same process and fill out all 20 data points. In order to save time, I went ahead and did my own previously recorded data collection. So here is 20 samples I took of rolling both dice at the same time and the resulting products. Now, in order to take this data to make a stem and leaf plot, I'm going to look at my graph. So I'll go ahead and pull my second page in my packet, and it says stem and leaf plot, data plot. This is where we're going to actually start recording our data and making the graph. So what I need to do first is figure out what is my smallest number. And if you look down at row 8 over here, I have the number 2. Notice I wrote the number 2 with 2 digits. That's because we have nothing in the tens place, but we have 2 numbers or 2 singles in the ones place. So I'm going to go ahead and begin my stem and leaf plot with all the numbers that are from 1 to 9, because all of them have 0 in the tens place. Everything in the teens begins with the 1. Everything in the 20s begins with the 2. 30s begins with the 3. And I'm going to go all the way up into my largest number. According to my data here, my largest number is 96. So I'm going to go all the way up to 9. So here's everything for the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. What you definitely need is the range of numbers from smallest to biggest. Don't be concerned if you don't have some numbers in these other sections here. You can just leave them as is. Now, my next step is to start filling out each row for each kind of number. For example, I need to look at my data and say how many numbers do I have that are in the singles, in the ones. Well, according to this chart, I only have a number 2. Everything else is bigger than that, so I'll just write a 2 there. This stands for 0 tens and 2 ones, which is just the number 2. Now I need to see how many numbers I have in the teens. Well, up here I have 15. I have 15 again, a 12, an 18. So I have 4 numbers that are in the teens. I need to record these numbers in order from smallest to greatest. So my first smallest number is 12. So I'm going to put a 2 here, because 1 10 plus 2 ones is 12. I'll repeat the same process. Now, you may get the same number twice, like I do here for 15 and 15. In that case, I'm going to write them in order also from least to greatest in order. So here's 15, and here's 15 again. So I took care of those 2 numbers. You can have numbers that repeat. It's not uncommon. And finally, my largest number in the teens is 18, so that will go here at the end. Notice that all my second digits are in order from least to greatest as well. I will repeat this whole process until this whole chart is filled out. Once I do that, I will then be able to see where all my numbers lie. So let's go ahead and continue this and do some more. Next numbers I have are my 20s. I have a 20 up here, so that's 2 0. Now let's see, I have a 24, a 22. So I know 22 would be next, and then 24. And I can take those off my list. 24, 22. Next I look for numbers that are in the 30s. Looking at my chart, I have 36 and 35 and the number 30. So 30, 35, and 36. 35, 30, 36. Least to greatest as always. Do not forget that. Be very careful when writing down your leaves. If you look over here, these are the stems, and these are all the leaves that come off it, hence the little leaves background you have on the right-hand side. Next, I have my numbers in the 40s. I have a 40, 2 42s, and another 40 here. So I'll write both 40s and then both 42s. Your data is going to be different, so I shouldn't see anybody with the same exact graph that I end up creating. If I do, then I know you just cheated from the video. Next, I look for numbers in the 50s. I have a 50 and a 55. So I'll go ahead and mark those in, 50 and 55. Next, I look for numbers in the 60. Now, notice I don't have any numbers in the 60s. You do not put a 0 because that would indicate that I have a 60. Instead, I'm going to leave all these blank. By leaving this whole row blank, that shows I have nothing in the 60s. So I go around to the next one, the 70s. I have a 72, so that's one number and nothing else. Then I have an 84, and finally I have a 96. Now I can look at this graph, and I can kind of make some very basic decisions. I can say that most of the numbers I chose were in the teens or in the 40s, with most of the other numbers being in the 20s or 30s. I had very few numbers above 60. I had absolutely nothing in the 60s, and I only had one number in the singles. And that's something you could do with any kind of data set. You just break it down and kind of see where all your numbers fall, and that's really the whole point of a stem and leaf plot. Now, finish this whole assignment with your partner. Both of you should have your own papers each that you'll be turning in for final review on Monday.